remarks with a story. One of our elders, a Melvin Gray Owl from the Crow Creek Reservation in South Dakota, told about a radio interview he had in the summer of 2007 in Cleveland, Ohio. The interviewer told Melvin that he could offer some last words. So Melvin took the opportunity to tell about his vision for the future. Quote, he told all the Washechus, that's our word for white man, that it was time to break camp, to saddle up their horses, drive to the coast, load themselves onto boats, and go back home. Although Melvin was supposed to have the last word of the interview, strangely, his words were never played. To this day, it remains a mystery as to why. To an indigenous person and to this Dakota writer, this story is extremely hilarious. To most U.S. Euro-Americans, perhaps not so much. Our indigenous peoples of the USA, including the Dakota, in the past 238 years the United States has been in existence, has been called all sorts of bad names. We have been called socialists and even communists because of our values and practices. One congressional legislative act among many such acts of legislation was called the Dawes Allotment Act of 1887. This was a direct attack on the indigenous people's belief and practice of owning land in common and not on the basis of individually owned pieces of property. This act also turned out to be a massive act of legalized land theft. Another colonial institution which attacked indigenous cultures and religious ceremonies and practices was the Court of Indian Offenses. In the 1880s, this court ruled that our various ceremonies, the Chanduhupa or the pipe, the Make-Alive ceremony or the Inipi, the Vision Quest, or Wiwayagwachipi, watching the sun while dancing, the sun dance, and even our long hair was criminalized. It was a crime to live the way we used to live. Our Itucha, our gift-giving ceremony, was outlawed. The gift-giving ceremony was conducted at memorial feasts, honoring feasts, the making of relatives, significant commemorative events, etc. It wasn't until the passage of the 1978 American Indian Religious Freedom Act that we could again legally practice some of our ceremonies and events publicly and freely. Before, one of our elders from Lower Sioux in southwestern part of the state said, Nachmawachipi, we danced in secret, because we had to go underground with the ceremonies. This religious suppression belied the myth that the USA was founded on religious freedom. Christians have religious freedom. One can choose to be a Catholic or a Protestant. If one chooses to be a Protestant, then one can choose to be an Episcopalian or a Presbyterian or an Assemblies of God person or a Lutheran or a Methodist or a Baptist. But First Nations people who practice the ceremonies in ways that were given to us by the Creator do not have religious freedom. History records many examples where white missionaries would say, we worship the devil. For example, we do not have access to our sacred sites. The majority of our sacred sites are on federal land, or on state land, or on corporate land, or on county land, or on individual lands. So to me, we, the traditional Native peoples, do not have religious freedom. And let me tell another story which further illustrates what I am talking about. This occurred in my home community where I was born and raised. My Uncle Harry, when he was about 11 or 12 years old, went out on his first duck hunting adventure. He returned home at the end of the day, brought about a half dozen ducks he had shot. My uncle had visions of roast duck and delicious duck soup that would be prepared by his mother the next day. Next day came and Uncle Harry went to do important things with the rest of the 12-year-old Dakota boys, soon to be young men. When he returned at the end of the day, there was no roast duck, no delicious duck soup, when he asked his mother, "Where's the soup? Where's the roast duck?" My uncle was very upset. His mother taught my Uncle Harry a painful and valuable lesson. His mother had given the ducks away, the first fruits of the soon-to-be warrior and provider. Kunshi, our word for grandmother, Kunshi Annie, had given the ducks to some elders, to some widows, and to some sick people. Uncle Harry learned that a Dakota man, a warrior, a hunter, had a social responsibility to honor, protect, and to help provide for the vulnerable members in the community. Dr. Charles Eastman, in his book Indian Boyhood, describes a fall hunting season. As the hunters started coming in with their game, they were met with enthusiasm, cheers, and songs. Eastman writes, quote, "At last, toward the close of the afternoon, all the hunters had returned, and happiness and contentment reigned absolute, in a fashion which I have never observed among the white people, even in the best of circumstances. The men were lounging and smoking, the women actively engaged in the preparation of the evening and the care of the meat. The choicest of the game was cooked and offered to the great mystery, Wakantanka, or God, with all the accompanying ceremonies." Eastman also wrote that when one was hungry, all were hungry. When one ate, all ate. The group went through good times and bad times together. The people shared. What do I envision for a socialist USA? Evo Morales, president of Bolivia, said that indigenous peoples must work for an indigenous form of socialism for the 21st century. We must work for the end of capitalism with its greed, materialism, and self-centeredness. Work for the end of Christianity with its ecclesiastical arrogance, its religious imperialism, its cursed earth, and genocidal teachings. And we must work for the end of colonialism with its dominance and exploitation beliefs and practices. In this writer's perspective, the above-mentioned institutions are evil. I would like to see a society in which people could be free to speak their languages, in which there would be freedom to practice the various religious ceremonies and traditions in an atmosphere of respect, at least tolerance anyway. Our Oyate, the Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, the people or nation, say Hechet Oyate Nipikte, that the people may live. This comes from the sacred sun dance. I would like to see a society in which individuals help to create a society that is good for all peoples, that the people may live. I will close with a statement from my Tahashi, or cousin, Floyd Red Crow Westerman. Honor and protect our children. Honor and protect our women. Honor and protect our elders. Honor and protect Mother Earth. Thank you.